Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of the Oxford Rye Whisky Heritage Grains 2017. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of the Oxford Rye Whisky Heritage Grains 2017 Harvest. This English whisky comes from the Oxford Artisan Distillery, and this bottle came to me as part of my Somerton Whisky Club subscription. This particular whisky is made up of a mash bill of 90% Maslin and 10% malted barley. Maslin, I hear you say. Well, Maslin is a breakdown of different types of grain structure, and in this case it's 70% rye, 20% wheat and 10% malted barley, which was harvested in 2017 from fields within 50 miles of the distillery. It was then fermented for 120 hours in Hungarian oak vats, and then it was aged in 60% American oak, new and STR. STR is shaved, toasted and recharred casks. It just rejuvenates old casks a little. And then 40% wine casks, which are sherry and port. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nose and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that's like a mahogany. This particular whisky is natural colour, it is unchill filtered, and it's 50% ABV. Let's start with the nose. So the first thing I get with this is some ethanol. I get some furniture polish. There's some linseed oil, which is quite typical for me on rye whiskies. There's some caramel. There's some walnuts. There's some new leather. I'm getting red apples. And it's also waxy, like beeswax. And I'd also say there's like a heather note in there as well. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so for me this is, it's quite a heavy hitter for the ABV. It's quite punchy. There's a really decent sort of peppery tingle, which is the first thing that hits my palate. It is also quite oily, quite viscous on the mouth, and yeah, I really do like that. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so following on from the first two notes that I picked up, that really punchy pepper and the oiliness, there's some dry wood. It's definitely tastes like sort of pencil shavings maybe. There's also the ethanol that I picked up on the nose. There's some sweetness, like brown sugar. There's also sort of rich dark soaked fruits. Obviously that must be coming from the wine element, the sherry and the port. And it's really quite nice, not overly fruity for me, not too overbearing, not too sweet. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, so I'm now getting that linseed oil note, which I picked up on the nose. It's not too strong with this. And I'm also getting some dark chocolate. That's I'm certain is coming from the sherry and wine. Really is nice. But none of these flavours stand out massively. The sort of herbal linseed oil does a little bit. The peppery tingle is quite punchy, but it's none of those flavours are really stand out. They really sort of blend together quite well, I'd say. In terms of finish, I'm getting creme brulee, a bit bit of brown sugar, I'm getting some chili pepper, I'm getting some heat. I'm also getting the sort of flavours like cognac and armagnac, that sort of, when you've been drinking those spirits, I'm getting those sorts of flavours on the palate with the finish. And I'm also getting pencil shavings, I'm getting some prunes, and there is also a nuttiness with this, and I'd say it's a very long finish. It really does linger. You definitely don't need much in between sips. I have tried this with water. It reduces the finish slightly and takes out some of the punchiness, some of the spiciness, which you get with rye whiskies, but it doesn't take it away completely, which is quite nice. In terms of value, well, I got this for £50 as part of my Somerton Club subscription. And as far as I'm aware, you can't actually buy this yet, or if you could, I definitely haven't been able to find it online. So potentially this isn't yet available, and therefore it's difficult to compare its value. But when I looked online and looked for equivalent products, they are around the sort of £50 mark. There is one at a 50% Oxford Rye called the Easy Rider. I don't know how that compares, but in terms of price for something similar, that could be around the same sort of mark. But the Oxford Rye whiskies are generally higher than that. They tend to sit around the £75 to £95 mark. So the fact that there are some more affordable ones, and this obviously was one for me, it's a good place to enter the rye arena with the Oxford Artisan Distillery. This for me, I think, is about right. I wouldn't want to rush out and spend much more than £50 having tasted this. It's not that it's not my cup of tea. I do like ryes. It's not that it's not a nice whiskey. It's a pleasant whiskey for me. I could drink this occasionally without any problems. And obviously, if this wasn't up your street and you didn't like it, maybe you could make an old-fashioned out of it. But I think rye is a spirit whiskey that people, I don't know, they either love or hate. I don't think there's many people that just find it okay. If you are one of those sorts of people, let me know in the comments, because I've always found that people either love it or hate it. For me, I do love a rye whiskey, and as I said, this is quite pleasant, but it's nothing that's wowed me in this spirit that would make me want to rush out and buy another one. I think I'm going to take my time and enjoy this, and obviously if you've tried anything from the Oxford Artisan Distillery, then let me know in the comments. I'm always interested to hear other people's thoughts. And if you haven't, well, it's definitely one to watch out for. They're definitely doing interesting things. But yeah, I think what they do is a little off-piste, and that isn't for everybody. Hopefully you'll come back and see me soon, and I'll see you then. Sauncha. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.